From the studios at TerryWilson3.com, this is the podcast for entrepreneurs, professionals, and dreamers who are ready to take their business and their life to the next level. For over 17 years, Terry Wilson has coached thousands of business owners across the globe on how to discover their worth, leverage their strengths, and build a life and business they love. So get ready for episode 653 right after this.
In the barren silence of the wilderness, a single flame calls his name. One step closer, and everything changes. It is what it is. Encounters the great I am that I am.
Listen to season 1 and other biblical teachings now at TerryWilson3.org.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com. TerryWilson3.com. Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner.
Welcome to episode 653. Today, we're diving into a topic that I believe is one of the biggest keys to long-term success. Having a business that fits you instead of you trying to force yourself to fit into a business. Too many people burn out. They get frustrated or they quit way too early because they tried to squeeze themselves into a business model, a career path, or an industry that just doesn't line up with who they really are. The truth is, success is not about wearing someone else's shoes. It's about walking confidently in your own. So in this episode, I'm going to break this down into 3 areas you need to understand about yourself. Number 1, your personality makeup. This is fundamental to who you are. I mean, it's literally telling you how you cognitively function as a person, how you're uniquely designed. And so many times, especially some of my Christian friends and people that share my faith, they get a little hesitant with this sometimes because it seems so self-centered and it's about me, and I totally get that. And we're called to be humble. We're called to put Christ first. It's not about us, it's about him. Totally get that understanding and agree with it. But here is the pushback on that thought if you struggle with that. And that is this. It is incumbent upon us to understand how we are uniquely, wonderfully, and fearfully made. We are all different. We come from the same person, but he has designed us so uniquely different. And to the extent I want to be able to serve my highest calling on my life, I want to have the greatest impact in business, in ministry, in family, in culture, in every walk of life that I'm called to walk in. I want to have the greatest impact I possibly can have. And the only way that's going to happen is for me to understand who I am for the express purposes of understanding how I'm different from other people so that I know how to connect with them better. Because we all have the same problem, and that is this. We all assume everyone thinks, reasons, understands, and perceives the world the same way. And it wasn't until I really did a deep dive on the 8 dichotomies that makes up a person's major cognitive functions that I understood, how, I always knew about introvert, extrovert. We all know that, but it's so much deeper than that. It is so much deeper than that. How we perceive the world, how we judge what we perceive, how and what we do with that and putting it back in the world as far as what we plan to do with it. All of those dichotomies are so different. In understanding how it's different from other people, so that now I might not see things eye to eye with other people. I might be 180 degrees out of phase with my wife, my friends, my family, my coworkers, my customers. It happens every day, all the time. But now at least I understand why and how to address it and how to bridge the gap. Because no matter what role you play, communication is always going to be at the base of what you build on, and it's going to determine how successful you're going to be, no matter what you do. You want to be successful in marriage? Learn to communicate. You want to be successful at parenting? Learn to communicate. You want to be a successful salesperson? Learn to communicate. If you want to be successful in anything, it hinges upon my ability to communicate. And I love the Maxwell quote. Everyone communicates, but very few people connect. Well, how does connection happen? By understanding how that person thinks, how they see, how they reason, how they're judging what they're seeing and reasoning, and what they're going to do with it. The more and more I understand how I'm different from other people and how people could possibly understand this differently, the better it's going to make me as a communicator, the better it's going to make me as a listener, the better it's just going to make me. So number one, we're going to be talking about personality makeups and why it's important. Number two, we're going to be talking about professional skills. We all have been trained in some way. Even if you didn't go to college, you've got work experiences, you've done something in life, you've had some sort of professional experiences. And I'm amazed at how many people just sort of gloss over that like it's, well, everybody has. Well, yes, everybody has experiences, but when you marry your personality type with these experiences, all of a sudden you're starting to get a special ingredient that's going to be unique. And that's the whole premise of my book, You Are Worth More, is I'm trying to get people to understand you're not a cosmic accident. You did not crawl out of a mud puddle because lightning struck it 2 million years ago or whatever, and you just crawled out of it. Now, I'm not advocating or dismissing whatever your worldview is on creation, but I am saying this. We're all fearfully and wonderfully made. We are made by, from, and for the purposes of greatness. Greatness lives on the inside of all of us. I truly believe that. And because of that, if I take how I'm made with the life experiences I have professionally, whether it was just sweeping the floors or whether it was, dealing with the C-suite of executives in a business, it doesn't matter. I take this, I take that, and then I take one other ingredient. And that is the third thing we're going to talk about is my passion. My passion. What gets me up in the morning. What I could do for the rest of my life, whether I ever got paid, I would love to do it because the work itself is payment enough. When you can take those three elements, your personality, your professional skills, and your passion, and you can understand how those are intertwined and it makes you who you are, then it's going to inform you exactly of either the business that you need to go into, the business you need to start, or the industry that you need to start looking at. It's just going to make you a wiser person. And so at the end of this, I will share how you can take a free, and I mean totally free, career assessment guide from us here at TW3. All you have to do is go to TerryWilson3.com, mention this episode, and we'll send it right out to you, and you can take it, and it's totally free. Okay? That's my gift to you for listening to episode 653 today. So let's talk about personality makeup. Let's start there. Why does personality matter? Gallup research shows that people who use their strengths every day are 6 times, listen to me, 6 times more likely to be engaged in their work. Okay? So conversely, when people are in roles that clash with their personality, stress and disengagement and burnout just skyrockets. No wonder turnover is what they are. And here's the thing I'll tell you right now in 2025 of August, coming up on the end of August 2025, the economy is what it is. It's not great. It's not bad. It's sort of in this static mode. The job market is what it is. But I'm going to tell you, there's no better time than right now to really take a full, sober-minded look at what is it I do for a living, and is it sustainable? there's things that you're going to have to do in life sometimes. It's just not what you want to do, but it just puts food on the table. Totally get that. Totally understand that. Paul was called to be an apostle. He was called to be a preacher. He wrote, 3/4 of the New Testament. But what happened? Sometimes he found himself making tents for a living because, the preaching ministry just wasn't doing what it was supposed to do at the time to pay for the bills. We're all that way. You have to do what you got to do sometimes. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about is where do we want to be? A year from now, 2 years from now, what does it look like when I retire, if I retire? What's it going to look like 5 years from now? What do I see myself doing? That's what I'm talking about. Because here's the thing. If you aim for nothing, you're surely going to hit nothing. So we got to be very clear, very precise on what we want to do. Because if we can get that and we can match it to what our personalities are, Gallup says that I'm 6 times more likely to be more successful. That is just a statement of a fact as they have taken polls and understood what's in the marketplace and what's going on. So that's where we're going to use our MBTI indicator here. That is so powerful. Now, it's not the end all be all, but it's a great framework that helps you understand how you're wired. And so just to give you those 8 dichotomies, you're either going to be extroverted or introverted. We all understand first dichotomy. So extroverted or introverted. That's the first 2. The second dichotomy gives us our sensing or intuition dichotomy. And this is how we take in information, how we perceive the world. Some people, they just perceive the world intuitively. I liken it to how I learned to play music. If my music instructor years ago would have tried to teach me music by simply giving me the note by note on a staff, way of teaching, rather than showing me charts, chord structure, chord progressions, and just an overview of music and how the logic of music theory and how it works, and let me fill in the middle part. And then out of filling that in, I started learning the notes. Had I not learned that way, I probably would have never been able to do music. Just because the minutia, I call it minutia, as you can hear in my language, I'm already judging, detailed information. The details of the music would have been so overwhelming, I would have probably not pursued it. But for whatever reason, the good Lord matched me up with the right teacher that taught in the way that I learned. And all of a sudden, because I understood, he was teaching me blues scales and jazz scales and chord progressions and all that, and I could use my ear and just intuitively understand how all this fit together. It made learning music for me so much easier. Other people, if you don't give them note by note by note, they won't know what to play. And that's because they are sensory perceivers. And so that's how we take in information. And so when I'm looking to learn, when I'm trying to learn something, I am looking for teachers that give me big pictures and give me frameworks, and they give me an outline. I don't want you to give me line upon line. I don't want you to get into the trifling, as I see it in my language. I don't want the but my wife, if you don't give her line upon line, precept upon precept, note by note, she's not going to perceive what you're even talking about. She's one of those that can't come into the movies 5 minutes late and enjoy the movie. She's got to get it right on the front end, where I can come in, half the movie's already played, and I'll just sit down and just within a few, just intuitively start filling in the gaps. Now, I'm going to miss a lot, and I'm going to assume things that may or may not be true, but that's our personality is different. That's how we intuitively perceive the world. The third dichotomy is where we judge things. How do you judge the world? Did you judge the world from a very values-based judging function? In other words, my gut tells me this is right, this is wrong. I have a sense, I have a value system, and that's what I use. Or do I use a logical judging function, which just says, I have these standards that are just logically and rationally laid out, and it really doesn't matter if I like or dislike the person, the situation, or the thing. I'm sort of non-emotional about it at all. I'm not invested emotionally at all in how I'm going to judge this. it's the way I always look at this one, and as an illustration, if you grew up, you're my age and watched Star Trek growing up, it's the difference between Spock and Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk was a values-based judge. He was Irish. He ran hot. It was a gut feeling. Well, he just had an internal sense of right and wrong. Spock, cold, analytical. This is what the numbers say. So those, and that judging function, to be honest, in business and in relationships and in just about every walk of your life, that is where conflict always happens. 90% of the time, not always, but a majority of the time, when we're talking about conflict in management, conflict in business, conflict with customers, marriage, children, family, whatever, when there's a relationship there and you start gnawing things out, that when you get into these impasses, it's typically because one party is judging something based on a value system they have, and the other person is judging it straight on their own logic, what they find is rational and logic, and they two can't meet. So we first have to get them using the same ways of judge, or at least understanding how the other judges this. So that's when you're sitting down counseling with people and you're doing conflict resolution. That's the first thing you're doing, is trying to get people, using the same judging function, or have an appreciation and not being critical of the other person's way of judging this situation. So that's the third dichotomy. And the last dichotomy is how you organize your life. Are you what's called a J or a P? That is, it's got to be closed in. This is exactly what we're going to do, detailed, line upon line, detailed. When we go on vacation, we're going to wake up Monday at 9:00, then we're going to do this at 10:00, then we're going to do this. Or when you organize your life and organize your world, you're just going to sort of do it as it comes. You're sort of what they call a perceiving organizer. In other words, we'll cross the road when we get there. We'll figure out what we're going to do at 9:00 when 9:00 comes, and then 10:00. And so that's another conflict that you sometimes see, especially couples going on vacations or trying to organize something. Some people say, hey, don't lock me in. Let's just say this is what we're going to do. We're going to be there Monday, but what we do hour upon hour is going to be, we're going to do it in a moment. We're going to judge it in a moment. Those 8 dichotomies I just went through is what makes people who they are. And everybody's a little different. As an example, I am an ENTP. That is my makeup. So that means I thrive in leadership, strategic thinking, and building systems. But put me in a job that requires endless small talk or repetitive detail work, I will suffocate, and I'll make myself and everybody else miserable, because I'll feel like a trapped little cat in the corner. I'll claw, get me out of here. It's just not the world for me. So entrepreneurialism, working for myself and building systems and doing coaching and training, what I do, it fits me like a T. That's why no matter what the economy is, no matter what the market does in my business goes up and it goes down. It's just like it has an ebb and flow. Sometimes I'm on the top of the mountain and sometimes I feel like I'm under it. But I always feel fulfilled and always feel grateful that I get to do this. Why? Because it is right in the wheelhouse of what I want to do. It matches me perfectly. Now, you put me up against like an ISFP, they may thrive in creative, hands-on roles that allow them to express artistry and freedom, but they may struggle in rigid corporate hierarchies. So that's just a difference. So think of it like golf clubs. Every personality type is different. You wouldn't tee off with a putter, and you wouldn't use a driver on the green. Well, actually, I have seen that, but you get the illustration. Every club has its purpose. Same with people. Your personality tells you what kind of club you are and what kind of course you should be playing on. So ask yourself these questions. Do you thrive on collaboration, or do you rather quiet focus? Do you prefer structure or spontaneity? Do you want to lead? Do you want to support? Or do you want to create? The business that fits you will allow your personality to be a strength, not a liability. So that's number one. That's how we're going to assess our personality. Number two, then we're going to talk about our professional skills. Now, why do skills matter? You might have the right personality for a business, but without the right skills, it's like having the right car with no gas. According to the World Economic Forum, the half-life of professional skills today is about 5 years. That means half of what you know professionally will be outdated in 5 years unless you keep learning. And boy, in my space and in the industry, in the sectors I frequent right now, because we've always been in this technological space here, using funnels and websites and all this stuff to create leads, to qualify leads, to close the leads, all the marketing and management things that we do and have done here at TW3. There's no truer statement that it's never been made than this. I would even say with the advent of AI, that a life shelf space, they're at shelf life, that they're quoting at 5 years, even though the World Economic Forum quotes that. I am saying if you are in if your industry has any technical applications and things that it uses, your shelf life for professional skills might be shorter than that. So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, and I understand that one of the hardest things that we as people can do, honestly, is learn new things and constantly learn new things. It's because it's putting a demand on us to be uncomfortable and to have our habits and our ways of thinking challenged constantly. Learning is tough. It just is. And the older you get, unless you get into a mode where you're okay, it's like working out mentally. It's mental workout. And for a long time, we lived in a world and we had a economy and a business market that you could sort of pick up a skill, learn a certain thing, and then just sort of ride that out. You can't do that anymore. You just can't do it. I would argue you never could, but now it's way more pronounced. The schism and the level of knowledge that has to be gained in today's world is just so much broader, bigger, and deeper. You know, before it was like, well, you got to know computers. Well, you got to know how to not only know computers, but you got to know some basic functions on computers and check your email. Well, you got to know check your email, and you got to be able to go over to this program and do this, this, and this. To now, you got to know a little bit about everything. I mean, it's just like the base knowledge of understanding that the market and the workplace is putting on us is rising exponentially. And that can be overwhelming. But here's the good news. Technology has come to a place now where some of the things that used to be very technically challenging can actually be helped through new AI technology. It's absolutely amazing. It'd take me weeks to do things because I'm not a natural coder, and I would have to maybe even go hire someone and do this and do that. And now with these free tools, I can just say, hey, do this, this, this. I need code for this. I need this. I need this. I wanted to do this. Give me a step-by-step teaching or outline on how to do this, this, and this with this code. And boom, AI gives me everything, and I go do it. So there's pros and cons to this, but here's the thing. I want to encourage you. Stay mentally active. Stay mentally active, because you could be a licensed insurance agent. You could be a licensed real estate agent. You could be in any industry. And I'm telling you, it's great to have those credentials and certifications to be able to operate in certain markets. But these new technical devices and how we communicate and what we can use and how you can leverage them. And, I still have clients that think that the Facebook is the way it was just a few years ago, where you just post on your Facebook page and just things are supposed to magically happen. And man, are you up for a rude awakening if that's what you think? I mean, it's just, the world has changed and it's continuing to change. So there's two types of skills. There's hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are technical knowledge, accounting, coding, marketing, sales funnels, etc. And that's what we teach here at TW3. And I'm going to make you a special offer at the end of this, by the way, to help you on some of those hard skills. Soft skills are communication, leadership, problem solving, and adaptability. We help on that as well. That's why we brought on the Myers-Briggs training instrument and stuff that we use. We help clients with both their hard skills and their soft skills. So for example, maybe you're a natural extrovert who loves people, but your professional skill is in digital marketing. That makes you incredibly valuable in industries where relationships and marketing are the lifeblood. So here's an illustration. Think of skills like tools in your toolbox. Your personality tells you what kind of builder you are, but your skills determine what you can actually build. The danger is when people try to start businesses in industries where they have zero transferable skills. That's like trying to fix a car with no wrench, no screwdriver, no jack. You'll just get frustrated and quit. So ask yourself, what am I actually good at? What do people pay me for now? What do you do in your job now that you're getting paid for? What have you invested 10,000 hours in learning? Like Malcolm Gladwell's threshold for mastery. What comes naturally to you that others find difficult? When you line up a business with both your personality and your skills, you're already miles ahead of the competition. So we've talked about personality and understanding who we are. We now talked about professional skills, what we know how to do, what we have experiences on, maybe what we've been trained on. And then the third thing to make this, a three-chorded, just cannot be broken, is what are we passionate about? So let's talk about that. Why does passion matter? Passion is the fuel that keeps you going when the road gets tough. According to Deloitte, people who are passionate about their work, listen to this, are 3 times more likely to report being satisfied in their careers outside of what they're paid. Now, think about that. According to Deloitte, people who are passionate about their work are 3 times more likely to report being satisfied in their careers, regardless of pay. If we go back up to what we learned earlier, if we match our career path with our personality type, we're 6 times more likely to be successful and be engaged and stay and not get burned out. So think about these things. If I'm doing what that just feeds my soul because it puts me in a position that I'm playing to my cognitive strengths, number one, and then I'm doing things that I'm skilled at, I'm good at, I know how to do, and then third, I'm now passionate about it. I actually care. It's not just about a paycheck, but it's about a purpose. Holy cow, you have got the formula to go as far and as high as you want to go in your career. Passion is like gravity. It pulls you toward things and certain things without you even trying. You read about it, you talk about it, you spend money on it. You never, ever get tired of it. Example, someone who loves fitness will naturally gravitate towards health, wellness, and coaching business, even if their current job has nothing to do with health or fitness. Here's the danger. Let me warn you, passion without skills or personality alignment can be dangerous. And let me tell you, after 17, going on 18 years of personal coaching and trying to help people start, scale, and support businesses, I can attest that this is a huge danger, and I wasn't as cognizant of this and probably as leery and had given as many caveats as I should have in my early years, because I just thought, hey, if you're passionate about it, you can push past anything. And I still believe passion will override everything else. But here's the thing. If it doesn't align with your personality and if it doesn't align with your proficiencies, then we are headed into some very, very turbulent waters. Just because you love to sing doesn't mean you should be starting a music business if you have no talent, no training, and no drive for the industry. Passion needs to be combined with the self-awareness and strategy. So ask yourself, what topics, what industries, or causes do I never get tired of? What do I do for free that others might actually pay for? What problems in the world make me want to take action right now? When your passion lines up with your skills and your personality, that's the sweet spot. That's where fulfillment and profit will meet. So, if you want a business that fits you, start by asking these 3 big questions. Who am I really? Who am I? How did God make me? Get honest with yourself. Well, it's funny. I'll do these assessments in churches sometimes, and I'm dealing with ministers, and and I will tell you, it's been my personal experience. Pastors are some of the hardest people to get an honest answer from on a personality assessment, and here's the reason why. They have been conditioned by their church culture and their church traditions that a pastor should look like this. They have spiritualized a personality type to the point that they are even not necessarily being as transparent and authentic to themselves, with themselves, about who they are. It's okay to be an introvert and be a pastor. It really is. It doesn't mean that you can't be around people, that you can't minister to people, that you just will be a terror. It just means that when you're around people, that is actually you expending energy rather than having energy built up. That just tells you to make sure you have some quiet time. Look at our Lord and Savior. He got away from people from time to time and went off on his own. What are we talking about here? But it's just amazing. It's always been a pet peeve of mine how pastors, that's the first one that they don't admit that they might not be extroverted. And the other thing is they don't admit that sometimes they come from a more logical, rational way of viewing things versus a values-based way of viewing things. And that's the other thing. It's like, well, I'm a people person. I want to love people, care for people, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get, because it sounds legalistic to be, a very rational, logic-based. No. It just means you got to make sure that you're not cold, that you understand that even though it logically, or it makes sense for you to judge something a certain way, doesn't mean you have to be cold about it. But so I say all this to you. If you are in one of these professions that the profession has conditioned you to think a certain way, to act a certain way, there's a difference between having a professional persona. This is the persona that I am exhibiting. And there's another thing that says, but this is actually who I am. Give yourself permission to say, this is actually who I am. Doesn't mean you can't do something in a certain area. It does mean, though, that if you understand who you are better, you can manage it better. And then you'll start understanding your weaknesses. And then you can start hiring to your weaknesses. But if you never get to the point where you can just be honest, well, this is who I am, then you're just flying blind. So ask yourselves, who am I? What do I do well? What am I skilled at? My personality, my proficiencies, my passions. What do I care the most about? What do I want to talk about? What do I want to do? What problems do I see in the world that it just rings my bell? For someone like me that grew up with a dream, wanting to do certain things, and then feeling like, and never was told me, no one ever said you can't do that, or it wasn't that. It's just my own internal dialogue. I just like, well, who am I to ever think that I could do this or that? And my lot in life is I'm going to have to do this because this is what I saw everybody else do. Nothing wrong with what my uncles and family and everybody did. It didn't resonate with me. I felt like I wanted to do something else. But I felt guilty for wanting to do things that was different. But then I got a little snippet of me being able to do something that I love doing. And it has been a passion for me, a passion project for the last nearly 20 years to tell everybody else the same story. That you are worth more. You can do more, be more, experience more, have more, enjoy more. If you'll just start believing that you can and start taking the steps to understanding who am I, Why am I? And where can I fit in to bring the greatest impact? And by doing this framework that I just gave you today, by asking, who am I? My personality. What can I do? My proficiencies. And what am I passionate about? By getting that inside of us and understanding that and how those intersect, you're going to be able to either start a business or get involved in a career or do something that's going to be not only successful, because we all want to be successful, and that looks different for different people. Maybe it has nothing to do with money. Maybe it has everything to do with money. But whatever it is, you're going to be able to be successful when you do. But here's the more important thing. It's going to be sustainable. It's going to be something that, hey, I am in my zone of genius now. I can do this, want to do this, enjoy doing this because I'm hitting on all cylinders here. And so here's the good news. I want to help you with this beyond just this podcast. For this episode only, we're offering a free career assessment guide. All you have to do is go to terrywilson3.com, mention episode 653. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a guide, and it's going to be like a short, I think it's, now don't quote me on this because I've developed different assessments, but I think this particular assessment is around maybe 25, 30 questions. Okay. But by doing that, you're going to get a personality type. You're going to get a transferable skill set type and a passion area. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you, a very detailed report. This is who you are. And based on that, this is how you think. Based on that, this is how you're different from a lot of the others. You are different other types and how they would think. This is what you're good at. And here are the areas you should consider getting involved in. So don't wait. I can't do this and offer it for free forever because this is how I make my money, just to be honest with you. But I'm willing to do that for the people that mention this episode in the next few weeks, okay? Because I know some of you listen this week's after that. So I'm going to say put a date on this to the end of September. We'll just do through September, and I'll cut it off then because I can't afford to do it forever. But go to terrywilson3.com, mention episode 653. And then by doing that, I'm going to show you everything you need to know. And then I will give you some pointers on what you can do right now to go into a career path, get a job somewhere where you need to go look, or a business model that you might want to adopt in your current business. If you're a business owner, some things that you can do to tweak what you're doing, or some side hustles you can start right now that's going to fit you. Because here's the thing, if it fits you, it's going to favor you. And that's where you're going to get better finances. And that's where you're going to get, a more rewarding career. So go to terrywilson3.com, mention episode 653. We'll get that career assessment out there to you. And I really think the reason I want to do this for you guys is because I know, if you're like a lot of the clients I work with, everybody has a dream, but everybody has dreamed and not found the success they had hoped for or wanted and have become discouraged. And some have become disillusioned, and some have even become cynical. And you got to guard your heart against that, because all that's going to do is embitter you. And I'll leave you with this. We started a podcast over at terrywilson.org. And one of the first episodes I did a whole season. And I did a season on Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 15. And I know this is a business podcast, and I'm not trying to get preachy, but it is illustrative to the point I'm trying to make. I go through the story of Moses, and because the context of Exodus 3 is, Moses was, of course, put in the Nile River because Pharaoh was wanting to kill all the newborn Hebrew children, and Pharaoh's daughter found Moses in the Nile, allowed his daughter to adopt him. And for 40 years, he was raised in Egyptian culture as the Egyptian prince and had all the amenities and favors and opulence that the royal palace would offer. And then one fateful day, Moses made a mistake. And through that mistake, someone lost their life. What he did was righteous. What he did was seeking justice. But because of the actions, the person lost his life, and then the story goes that he was on run from Pharaoh and tried to flee Egypt so he could save his own life. And then chapter 3 picks up there. And chapter 3 picks up where he has been wandering around in the wilderness for 40 years. So the whole message on this whole season 1 is the title of it is When It Is What It Is Meets the Great I Am. And the reason I use that, even if it's a funky title, is you and I have all had experiences. We've had things happen to us in life. We've had success. We've had failures. We've had all kinds of things. But maybe you are in a place in your professional career right now where you might be thinking that, man, my best days are behind me. My boy, the good old days. And then you're thinking back about the good old days. And through that process, you've been wandering around and maybe time has elapsed. And maybe you can relate to where Moses was. Moses went from, opulence to obscurity. He went from, snapping his fingers and people come running to now watching another man. He didn't have his own business. He was out there watching another man's flock. It wasn't even his. And in that process, his day was interrupted by something magnificent that happened, something that was miraculous that happened, something that made him pause. And it broke through time, and it shook him from his cynicism, his disillusionment, his discouragement, his attitude of saying, well, it is what it is, and hearing a voice calling from heaven on earth in a miraculous moment that says, I am that I am. And I say all that to say to you this. Maybe the thing that you've been asking for, looking for, praying for, hoping for is right next to you right now. I don't know. Maybe the answer is in the mailbox right now. Maybe that new business model, that new strategy, that new marketing campaign, that new whatever it is that you're looking for, it is right there in front of you, but you can't see it. And the reason you can't see it is because maybe you're like Moses. I mean, you've been doing this thing. It's been the status quo for so long that cynicism has slipped, sort of crept in, that an attitude toward things has crept in. And you're just like, well, it is what it is. Let this be your burning bush. Let this episode right now be the thing that's saying, hey, if you're looking to do something, you've been praying about something, here's something for free that you can try. There's no obligation. There's no manipulation. There's just, here it is. Take it. Maybe it'll help. I hope it does. It's helped me. I tell you, TW3 is nowhere close to the business it was, but it's better. It's amazing to me that how this business was birthed out of a necessity that started during the great housing market implosion of 07-08. It survived the ACC transfer, even though it was just in insurance. And then it went right into COVID and helped through COVID, and then the pandemic and the pandemonium and the politics and everything else. And here we are in 2025. Don't look like anything that we did, but we got this one core thing that still happened. We're here to solve problems. We're here to bring value, and we're here to equip people, so they can do the same. And it all comes from having these three things in operation in my own business. And that's what this guide and this assessment is going to do for you. It's going to make your business to where not only is it scalable, and not only is it going to help it be more successful, but it's going to help it be sustainable. And that's what you want. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Are you leading on instinct or insight? Introducing Ascend 360, the exclusive leadership assessment tool used by top business owners, pastors, managers, and entrepreneurs to grow their impact and lead with clarity. Ascend 360 combines the power of personality profiling, communication analysis, and goal-oriented behavior into one easy-to-understand report that shows you exactly how to lead better, faster, and smarter. If you're ready to improve team performance, boost your leadership confidence, and unlock your next level, start today free of charge at terrywilson3.com/leadership. That's TerryWilson3.com/leadership. Ascend 360. Clarity that leads. Leadership that lasts.
Running a business is tough, your to-do list never ends, and the phone keeps ringing. What if you could focus on your daily operations without worrying about missed calls? At TW3, we've got you covered with our 24/7 call answering service, starting at just $25 per month. Here's how it works. When your phone rings, our team answers every call, takes the caller's name, number, email, and reason for calling. We can even handle basic customer support, answering frequently asked questions about your business, or book appointments for you right on the spot. But it doesn't stop there. We'll immediately send you a text or email with all the details so you can follow up at your convenience if needed. Our service also filters out spam calls, giving you more time to focus on what really matters, growing your business. And here's the best part. With 24/7 availability, your customers get the help they need anytime, day or night, leaving a lasting impression of professionalism and care. Don't let missed calls slow you down. Call us at 864-507-9696 to schedule a quick demo and see how our award-winning service can work for you. Your time is valuable. Let us help you protect it.
Become an elite TW3 member today and gain access to our mastermind group.
The way you get into things is, for someone like me, it's great to be around.
Terry, you have made a huge impact in my life. I'm so grateful that God has brought you into my life.
You're the genuine article. You live what you talk about.
Right now, Terry, I am so inspired after listening to you for the last 25, 30 minutes. You got me so jazzed up.
I'm still blown away by your story. Because with that, you just bring so much experience.
When I think of Terry Wilson, I think about the comeback kid.
Well, I think today is just demoed exactly the brilliance that you share.
I truly believe the only way to go to the next level is to grow to the next level.
Take your personal growth to the next level by joining the TW3 Mastermind Group today.
TerryWilson3.com and get our leads.
Put a boost in your sales today. Go to TerryWilson3.com/lead list and get a list of leads for as low as $2 each. That's TerryWilson3.com/lead list. Stop hoping a sale will come in and get leads that will bring them in. Go to TerryWilson3.com/lead list.